is here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Listening to the best of the Mark Levin Show. Happy Independence Day. You're in the right place, certainly today. Every day. 3 hours a day. By now you've heard the Supreme Court has ruled that affirmative action is out when it comes to colleges and universities and admissions. Justice Roberts wrote the decision. He did say, look, there's no problem with individuals telling their life story. Typically, you write these essays to get into college and university. It's not just part of an SAT or so forth. But you have to do that as an individual. You can't speak for an entire race, and you can't be treated as an entire race, one applicant. That's stereotypical. Ladies and gentlemen, there were a number of Asian American students who brought this lawsuit against Harvard. Harvard created a racist, bigoted admissions policy against Asians. It even stereotyped Asians, saying that they don't really have the kind of personalities that would lend themselves to the diverse student population that we seek here at Harvard College. This is flat-out racism. The Congressional Black Caucus is appalled at what the Supreme Court did. The three radical leftists on the court, obviously, they endorsed racism. Joe Biden, who I'll get to in a minute, the last remaining of the old white supremacists, he says he's severely disappointed. There's something wrong with the court. So it's okay if you treat Asian Americans differently than everybody else, according to Joe Biden. Everybody else. Now let's get something straight. These Democrats are resegregating our society. You have dorms for blacks and whites. You have commencement for blacks and whites. Critical race theory separates the nation into blacks and whites. They are resegregating our society. They are resegregating our country. No longer e pluribus unum. No longer diversity, yes, but one culture. No. Never. These same Democrats, and I will call them George Wallace Democrats, the Congressional Black Caucus, George Wallace Democrats, Joe Biden, George Wallace Democrat, the three dummies on the court, George Wallace Democrats. That's what they are. George Wallace would be thrilled with the conclusions that they've reached. Thrilled. Asian Americans today, African Americans tomorrow. After that, Hispanic Americans. What's to stop a college, a university, or anything else? 50 years ago, it was Jews. 70 years ago, it was blacks. Today, it's Asians. Same damn Democrat Party. The George Wallace Party. The remnants, certainly intellectually, are still all around us. Just look. Yes, they say. State institutions and private institutions of higher learning should be able to discriminate against people based on their heritage. Wow. George Wallace would be proud. Not so much Abraham Lincoln. These same George Wallace Democrats oppose school choice. They pretend that they want minorities, other than Asians, of course, and Jews, of course, but they want minorities to have equity. But they do not want minorities to have an opportunity when it comes to crossing the lines of the government Democrat Party teacher unions. Isn't that amazing? Where's the Congressional Black Caucus on there? Nowhere. Because their coffers are lined with teachers' union money and their army of teachers on Election Day. First things first here, folks. We're all the white intellectuals about school choice for little black kids. They oppose it. They want government schools. Nothing more, nothing less. Doesn't matter if test scores have gone down the toilet. Doesn't matter if little kids are going to school or facing criminalization and other horrific things when they get there. Doesn't matter. No school choice, but yes, racial discrimination and resegregating America. That they're for. The George Wallace Party is still with us. And it is amazing to see how many minority, black, so-called leaders, activists, sound like George Wallace. It doesn't amaze me that Biden sounds like George Wallace. That used to be one of his heroes. Sotomayor is an ignoramus. Writing for the minority. Talks about superficial neutrality. Superficial neutrality. Really? Can I read you something, folks? There's so much to cover here. Stick with me. I have already broken this down in a way that nobody else can. No brag, just fact. Race. Racial quotas in medical school admissions. This is what we had until today. Discrimination against Asian Americans seeking entry into Harvard. Segregating college dorm rooms and graduation ceremonies. Dumbing down school curricula. Sabotaging merit scholarship programs. Issuing presidential executive orders that, for instance, exclude white farmers and other privileged racial groups. Yes, this is from the Democrat Party Hates America. Isn't it amazing? Because of the emphasis on race is the basis for all behaviors and outcomes. And allegations of irreversible white racism based on skin color at birth. Critical race theory and what I call, and I've invented this phrase now, civil rights Marxism. Civil rights Marxism, that's what this is. Dehumanize the individual and groups of individuals. Ironically, the scholars and activists promoting this point of view use dehumanizing stereotypes, not only to label white people, but to describe black individuals in the black community. After all, in the end, Marxism of any kind is built on the false foundation of oppressor and oppressed class identifications. Ibrahim X. Kendi, director of the Center for Anti-Racist Research at Boston University, is one of the leading bigots in America, in my view, and a leading advocate of CRT, has written to say, ready? To say that there is widespread racial inequity caused by widespread racism, and by the way, this sounds like Sotomayor's opinion. She's all in, baby. To say that there's widespread racial inequity caused by widespread racism, which makes the U.S. racist, isn't an opinion. It isn't a partisan position. It's a doctrine. It isn't a left-wing construct. It's anti-white. It's an anti-American. It's fact. In fact, CRT scholars and activists dismiss all social efforts, economic programs, laws, court rulings, even the Civil War, and the presidencies of Abraham Lincoln and Ulysses S. Grant, as well as Martin Luther King's courageous activism and speeches, as little more than transparent and self-serving attempts by the white dominant society, or those who go along and help perpetuate white privilege, knowingly or otherwise, to paste over the, the incurably flawed American founding. The civil rights Marxists, again as I call them, also reject both the idea and pursuit of a colorblind society. This gets to the nub of the matter. They're the modern-day segregationists. They're the modern-day racists. Lest we forget, Peter C. Myers, visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation, reminds us that for Frederick Douglass, none of these phony civil rights leaders today can hold a candle to Frederick Douglass. The 19th century's greatest abolitionist and civil rights advocate. He said, an abiding faith in reason and truth and justice sustained an expectation that the color line will cease to have any civil, political, or moral significance in America. The most famous dissenting opinion in U.S. Supreme Court history. By the way, this is Douglas. Justice John Marshall Harlan provided a more focused expression of that sentiment, explaining his vote in Plessy versus Ferguson to invalidate a law mandating racial segregation on train cars. He said, our Constitution's colorblind. Excuse me. The law regards man as man, takes no account of his color when his civil rights as guaranteed by the supreme law of the land are involved. In his brief for the plaintiffs in landmark Brown versus Board of Education, Thurgood Marshall argued, distinctions based upon race or color alone are the epitome of the arbitrariness and capriciousness constitutionally impermissive under our system of government. He said 77 years after Plessy came to the most resounding statement of all, when the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. stood under the shadow of Abraham Lincoln and immortalized the moral vision of the civil rights movement by declaring, I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will be judged by the color of their, where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. The Democrat Party believes in none of this. Today's civil rights Marxism, again as I call it, preaches and demands the opposite. For example, Kendi has declared the only remedy to racist discrimination is anti-racist discrimination. They're going after Asians. Did Asians own slaves in America in the 1840s and 50s? I don't believe so. How ridiculous. The only remedy to present discrimination, he says, is future discrimination. These are the Marxists. Thus the demand for equity. Indeed, the movement has come up with a new term for condemning colorblindness. You want to hear this one? Colorblind racism. Did you know that's a new phrase? Now, when you get the Democrat Party hates America, you're going to learn a lot of things. In fact, a column by Danny Bostic, an educator and contributor to the Huffington Compost, further illustrates the point. She asserts, colorblindness foists whiteness on everyone. It is another way of saying I view everyone as if they were white. Your default color for sameness is white. She says colorblindness strips non-white people of their uniqueness. Your default culture for sameness is white culture. When you encourage your child to be colorblind and view everyone as the same, you're projecting white on people who aren't white, negating their experiences, traditions, and uniqueness. Again, this could sound like Sotomayor's outrageously pathetic opinion. Colorblindness suppresses critically important narratives of oppression, she says. Once you view everyone through a colorblind white lens, you deny the reality that non-white people face. She says, the great Huffington Compost, Dana Bostic, colorblindness assumes everyone has the same experience here in America. When you fail to see color, you fail to recognize injustice and oppression. She said colorblindness promotes the idea that non-white races are inferior. When you teach your child to be colorblind, you're essentially telling them, if someone isn't white, pretend they look like you so you can be friends. Stripping people of a fundamental aspect of their identity by claiming not to see color is dehumanizing. Get it? We've gone from don't make decisions, don't embrace stereotypes based on the color of somebody's skin, treat them like an individual human being, to do. I've got more. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
If we've learned anything over the past 2 years, it's that unexpected things can happen. For example, average IRA and 401k balances fell 20% last year, according to Fidelity. We didn't expect that, but here's something that could help if you have an IRA or 401k. Physical gold in your IRA. The World Gold Council says even central banks are buying tons of gold. Now, what does that tell you? Learn why many Americans are turning to a gold IRA with Augusta Precious Metals. They're the best. I recommend them to my friends and family. You should call Augusta and get their ultimate guide to gold IRAs. Feels good to know there's another savings option. Diversity is the key. Call Augusta Precious Metals at 8774-GOLD-IRA. That's 8774-GOLD-IRA, 8774-GOLD-IRA. Consult your financial professionals before making investment decisions and get disclosures at AugustaPreciousMetals.com. This is Mark Levin wishing you a happy 4th of July. Now back to the best of me. So this writer at the Huffington Compost gets to the nub of the matter, just like the George Wallace Democrats that you hear speaking. Myers says if racism is conceived in practical terms, ready, as maldistribution of socioeconomic goods and ills, then its remedy must be conceived in terms of redistribution, not only of opportunities but also of outcomes. That's why I call this civil rights Marxism. The proper function of preferential race classifications would then be to effect the desired redistributions. The minimum condition of a just society in this view is that no historically disfavored racial group would suffer any aggregate disadvantage in the incidences of the main goods and ills whereby we measure socioeconomic well-being. The ultimate expectation is that those goods and ills would be distributed among racial groups in rough proportion to their percentages of societal population. Thus, I write, racism, equity, Marxism. Civil rights Marxism. That's Sotomayor's opinion today. That's the Congressional Black Caucus. That's Joe Biden. That's all the other morons. More when I return. If we've learned anything over the past 2 years, it's that unexpected things can happen. For example, average IRA and 401k balances fell 20% last year, according to Fidelity. We didn't expect that, but here's something that could help if you have an IRA or 401k. Physical gold in your IRA. The World Gold Council says even central banks are buying tons of gold. Now, what does that tell you? Learn why many Americans are turning to a gold IRA with Augusta Precious Metals. They're the best. I recommend them to my friends and family. You should call Augusta and get their ultimate guide to gold IRAs. Feels good to know there's another savings option. Diversity is the key. Call Augusta Precious Metals at 8774-GOLD-IRA. That's 8774-GOLD-IRA, 8774-GOLD-IRA. Consult your financial professionals before making investment decisions and get disclosures at AugustaPreciousMetals.com. This is the best of the Mark Levin Show. Happy Independence Day. Clarence Thomas raises some good points that actually in the Democrat Party hates America as well, and that is, I'll put it my way differently. The Democrat Party only succeeds when we focus on the racial aspects of these things. So everything becomes racist. The racist economic system, the racist civil rights, and on and on and on. What they don't discuss and won't discuss, and I do discuss, and the Democrat Party hates America, is the socioeconomic problems. The breakup of the family. The failure to get good jobs. The failure to get a decent education. And so you have the breakdown of the family, which is exactly what Marx preached in one of his 10 covenants. And what they push every day. That's why they don't want parents to know what they're doing to their little kids in public schools. I mean, it gets about as sick as it can be. So there's a lot of reasons people do succeed and don't succeed that have absolutely nothing to do with race. Zero. But for many people, this gives them an excuse, and that's what critical race theory is all about. The excuse is America, period. The founding of America, the white people in America, the minorities in America who support the white people in America, you know, that kind of crap. It just goes on and on and on. Now, I will say this. Joe Biden has been a law student. He never gave up his seat for a black person. He's been a senator. He never gave up his seat, period. But he never stepped aside and said, you know, we have a significant number of blacks in Delaware, so I'm going to give up my... Never did that. Didn't give anyone a chance. Became vice president. He didn't say to Obama, you know, it would really be historic with the first black president, maybe the first black... He didn't do that. And of course, he fought like hell, Kamala Harris and others, to prevent Booker and so forth from getting on the court. So Joe Biden hasn't lifted a finger, personally for black people. Matter of fact, when he was a senator, as you know from this program, he lifted more than one finger against black people. Much like FDR. Oh, what did he say? That's right, you'll learn that too. Now, the Democrat Party wants everything to be about race because they are trying to fire up their base just as they tried to fire up their white base 150 years ago. It's an evil party. Here's Biden at the White House today. Cut one, Mr. Producer, go.
The dissent states in today's decision, quote, rolls back decades.
He didn't read it. He didn't read any of it. Start at the top, Mr. Producer. Cut one, go.
The dissent states in today's decision, quote, rolls back decades of precedent and momentous progress, end of quote.
Unless you're Asian, you're treated by the Democrat Party and their sycophants as blacks were 120 years ago, as Jews were 50, 70 years ago. So, which is the party, which is the ideology that seeks to discriminate? Every single time. They just pick different groups they discriminate for and against over the course of its history. The Democrat Party. Go ahead.
With that statement from the dissent, the court has effectively ended affirmative action in college admissions. And
that's good, isn't it? When was it going to end? Ever? Was it ever going to end? In fact, I would even go further. I told you before and again in the book, Woodrow Wilson, when they decided to, and they expanded the federal bureaucracy, he put in a new requirement, photographs. Because he wanted to know if there were black applicants and to prevent them from serving the federal bureaucracy. It's what he did. Woodrow Wilson, when he was president of Princeton, was very proud of himself. He said not one black got accepted into Princeton when I was the president of Princeton University. Not one. That's in the book. That's the Democrat Party. Today it's Asians. Asians. You're qualified? I'm sorry. You're Asian. And they go through all these jokes about how they make distinctions and so forth and so on. We need more diversity, says the virtually lily-white educational bureaucrats from elementary schools all the way up to Harvard. Go ahead.
Agree with the court's decision. Because affirmative action is so misunderstood, I want to be clear, make sure everybody's clear about what the law has been and what it has not been until today. Many people wrongly believe that affirmative action allows unqualified students to be admitted ahead of qualified students. This is not how college admissions work.
You are a liar. There'd be no issue if that wasn't an issue. We're not talking about taking two candidates that are 100% similar in terms of their academics and then looking at their race. No, that would be bad enough. That would be bad enough. That's Woodrow Wilson, right? That's Woodrow Wilson. We don't want pictures for hiring purposes. We don't want to know about race for hiring purposes. We don't know what you do with your genitalia. If you keep it, lose it, use it. We don't want to know. That should have nothing to do with admissions. Nothing. So if you now support a totally colorblind process promoted by Abraham Lincoln, Frederick Douglass, Martin Luther King, then you're a white supremacist. We talked a little bit about language and brainwashing last night. Again, there's an entire chapter on this. That's what this is. So the people on TV, the phony civil rights leaders, the Congressional Black Caucus, all the lily-white morons on MSNBC and CNN and elsewhere who are all pushing the same agenda, they represent the George Wallace wing of the Democrat Party. You see, there's not a lot of difference between the Marxist and the racist. There's just not. That's why in Marxist societies, they round up Uyghurs, Christians. That's why in Marxist societies, they round up minorities, people of faith, professionals. That's why they do it in Marxist societies. So the Democrat Party, this is what they think. This is who they are. That's what they believe. Let's go to cut 2, Mr. Producer. Go.
We cannot let this decision be the last word. I want to emphasize, we cannot let this decision be the last word. While the court can render a decision, it cannot change what America stands for. America is an idea unique in the world, an idea of hope and opportunity, of possibilities, of giving everyone a fair shot, of leaving no one behind. We've never fully lived up to it.
This is typical propaganda of an autocrat. They take their own racism and bigotry, their own tyranny and totalitarianism, and they wrap it in words of freedom and we the people and equality. And Biden's been doing this a very, very long time. And then if you raise objections to it, or if you were one of the 6 justices who wrote what you wrote or supported what the others wrote, there's something wrong with you. What the Democrat Party tonight is arguing, what Biden is saying, what the media outlets are arguing for, is that the Supreme Court rule that, yes, Harvard, you are free to apply racist stereotypes to Asian Americans and exclude them from your school. Almost sounds like FDR with the Japanese Americans. Or Woodrow Wilson with blacks. That's what the 3 justices, in effect, who opposed the majority decision said. It's even worse. You ready? As a matter of constitutional law, under the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause, Harvard College is free to prevent Asian American kids from being accepted into their school based on their race. 3 justices effectively said that. Oh, I don't care what they wrote. It's what they said. It's what they voted for. And Biden's always been a bigot and a racist. He's always been an anti-Semite. Always. He just told colleges and everybody else, ignore the Supreme Court decision. This is how lawless this guy, this putz, this cretin really is. Ignore the Supreme Court as they continue to destroy one institution after another. The FBI, the Department of Justice, the Supreme Court. Doesn't matter. Meanwhile, we're the insurrectionists. Trump is the danger to democracy. DeSantis is running a full-throated fascist campaign. This is what they say about us and the people that we endorse. But not Joe. Go ahead.
But we've never walked away from it either. We will not walk away from it now.
What are you talking about, you idiot? First of all, you don't walk, you shuffle. But say, walk away from what? All right. It's time to take to the streets and support racial discrimination against Asian Americans, America. Let's take up the side of Harvard and that university in North Carolina. Let's take the side of the bigots and the racists. Let's join the George Wallace Democrat Party. Let's resegregate our society. Let's use discrimination against groups that we don't like or that don't look like us. That's progress. That's equity. That's bullcrap. And that's your Democrat Party. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
If we've learned anything over the past 2 years, it's that unexpected things can happen. For example, average IRA and 401k balances fell 20% last year, according to Fidelity. We didn't expect that, but here's something that could help if you have an IRA or 401k. Physical gold in your IRA. The World Gold Council says even central banks are buying tons of gold. Now, what does that tell you? Learn why many Americans are turning to a gold IRA with Augusta Precious Metals. They're the best. I recommend them to my friends and family. You should call Augusta and get their ultimate guide to gold IRAs. Feels good to know there's another savings option. Diversity is the key. Call Augusta Precious Metals at 8774-GOLD-IRA. That's 8774-GOLD-IRA, 8774-GOLD-IRA. Consult your financial professionals before making investment decisions and get disclosures at AugustaPreciousMetals.com. This is Mark Levin wishing you a happy 4th of July. Now back to the best of me. Do not allow this evil Democrat Party, their corrupt media, and these civil rights Marxists to take control of the language, to take control of the issue. They are the racists. They are the bigots. They are bigots. They are the haters. We stand here in defense of Asian Americans and all Americans against the Democrat Party system that they've put in place to punish people based on their race and skin color. They've been doing it too damn long. They caused a damn civil war in this country. An entire civil rights movement had to rise up against the Democrat Party. And now they pretend that they're protecting minorities. And they have plenty of Marxist law professors as guests all over TV telling you the same thing. Oh, that majority on the court, you know. I know what? And they all fall in line, don't they? Here's Biden. He goes to MSNBC today. Hold on. He goes to MSNBC today. One of his safe places. Go.
Senate colleagues on the Judiciary Committee would go as far as to say that it's anti-democratic. Do you agree with that?
Why would you ask such a stupid-ass question, Nicole Wallace? Because you are one. Such a lightweight. You are so divisive for this country. You are the worst of the worst, in my view. Talk about chameleons. You're just like Biden. Go from John McCain to this. Go ahead.
You know, if I say it's anti-democratic, then it gets
in a lot of trouble.
No, but it is. Its value system is different, and its respect for institutions is different, and in that sense, it is not as.
That's enough, ladies and gentlemen. I don't need to. This guy's at 5-level dimension, and I say that not as a joke. I also put this in the book. Look it up. He's at 5-level dementia. And that's what all this is about. His affectations are not affectations. They're consequences. But he says the value system. I don't need lectures from Joe Biden on values. He needs lectures from us. We don't need lectures from the Democrat Party on values. Or race. We don't need lectures from the Democrat Party on equality. Because they oppose it all. And they always have. This is the party that's destroying America. Because they hate America. America that allows Asian kids, based on merit, to go to Harvard College. That's America. Not what the Democrat Party is peddling. Not what their propagandists and demagogues in the media are peddling. Not what their president is peddling. And then to trash the Supreme Court. I've had my differences with this court and these justices. And I've made it abundantly clear. But I don't attack the entire institution. Oh, I've made some reform ideas. But listen to the way he talks. They have a different value system on the court. How come nobody talks about that inciting violence? How come nobody says that he's attacking the independence of the court? How come nobody says that that's not the quiet launch of an insurrection or a dog whistle to violent people? None of it. So if you support race-neutral, colorblind society, you don't share their damn values. You're right, I don't. Not for a second. How anyone could even be a part of such a disgusting party, I don't know. Look, I've told you plenty of times, you can go to Amazon.com or these other places and pre-order your copy of The Democrat Party Hates America. It's the finest book I've ever written. I think it's the most important book I've ever written because we're up against it. I'll be right back. This segment of the podcast is exclusively sponsored by Pure Talk. Pure Talk offers great coverage and can save your family money on your wireless bill every single month. Go to puretalk.com to find the plan that's right for you. Thank you again for listening, and thank you so much for this sponsorship, Pure Talk.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
You're listening to the best of the Mark Levin Show. Happy Independence Day. I mean, this is, America's never seen anything like this before. And it's going to get worse before it gets better. You're going to see more Republican officials being imprisoned over a period of time. You're just going to. You're going to see complete reckless criminality by an increasing number of Democrats that goes unpunished. You're going to be able to separate the men from the boys, the women from the girls, when it comes to who stands strong and who stands firm. You can see with this Trump stuff right now. You don't have to be a Trump supporter. You don't have to vote for Trump to realize what the hell's going on in this country. None of it's good. Even when they have the goods on the Bidens, they have the goods on the Department of Justice, they have the goods on the FBI, they have the goods. It doesn't matter. Stalin would be proud. It's the title of the last chapter of my book. Stalin would be proud. We have July 4th coming up, Independence Day. We're going to celebrate the founding of this great nation. I've always said, since I was a kid, and I've said it here, I was born at the wrong time. I was born at the wrong time. I should have, I should have been born in the early days of America. Revolutionary War. Excuse me, folks. I'm having a little bit of a tough time today with that asthma. The Revolutionary War. Over. Creating of a new government. My God, what I would give to be at the Constitutional Convention. Just to watch. This is why I'm constantly thinking of these various projects. What can we do? We just can't let this escape us. We just can't give up. We can't let the bad guys win. This is evil. What they're doing to our country, to Republicans, conservatives, what they're doing to our fellow citizens. People to go to abortion clinics and protest, being rounded up. Parents going to school board meetings, being targeted. I'm going to tell you a little story. I can't use a name. I can't even give you the state. I certainly can't give you the school district. I won't even tell you if it's a high school or a middle school, but you can assume it's one or the other. The parents the other week, maybe it was last week or the week before, they're in the audience with so many other parents proudly watching their kid graduate. And you know how they announce the children's names, right, Mr. Producer? They're proud of their son. They love their son. They have a wonderful family. And as their son goes up to accept his diploma from the principal, his son is called Elizabeth. I'm making up the name. No, wait a minute, it's John. On the diploma, the name is Elizabeth. And the name read out is Elizabeth. I'll just make up the name. Elizabeth Smith, not John Smith, Elizabeth Smith. And the parents are looking at each other. What in the world is this? This just happened. For the entire school year, the school district and the school was hiding this information from the parents and reinforcing the idea that John was really Elizabeth. And John was using the name Elizabeth all through the school year. All the other kids knew him as Elizabeth. All the teachers knew him as Elizabeth. The parents knew nothing about any of it. The country's dying. Not because of us, but because of them. The vast majority of employees in school districts, not all, there are great exceptions, there's patriots, vast majority are Democrats. Vast majority of tenured teachers are Democrats. Not all. Please don't say, I'm a rip. I know. The vast majority are Democrats, and you know I'm right. I was on a school board. Vast majority of administrators are Democrats. The entire educational bureaucracy is run by the Democrat Party. And it's run for the Democrat Party. And it applies to tenured professors, too. Same damn thing. The Democrat Party uses your tax dollars to build its army of activists, its infrastructure within the culture. And they've finally conquered the Department of Justice and the FBI. They finally conquered the U.S. Attorney's offices. They've conquered the legal system. That's what's going on. They go through the motions with Hunter Biden, Joe Biden. They go through the motions with the special counsel, with Joe Biden. They have no intention of doing anything. They go through the motions about caring about documents, even caring about classified documents. Swalwell was Swalwell was having an affair, essentially, with a classified document. Was he not, Mr. Producer? Democrats don't care. Democrats circle the wagon. All they care about is the party, like the Communist Party. The party comes first. Everything else comes second. Screw the country, screw the people. It doesn't matter. Well, now that is the mindset at the Department of Justice and the FBI and all the rest of them. The Democrat Party is at war with this country. It's at war with our history. It's at war with our police. It's a war with our military. It's a war with our language. It's a war with Americanism. It rejects it 100%. So are their media. Have you noticed how many of these Sunday shows the media interview the media? You notice that, Mr. Producer? CNN's interviewing somebody from the New York Times. MSNBC's interviewing somebody from ABC News. It's incredible. Like we give a you-know-what, a rat's... Excuse me. And so I look at this. Unfortunately, in this sense, it's all over me. I can't get away from it. This is what I do. It's what I was born to do. It's all around me. It's all around us. Comes Friday night, I can't shake it. Saturday morning, I can't wash it off my hand. It's the same damn thing every day, every hour of the day. And if I'm not thinking about it, I have family members that can't stop talking about it. I've got friends who can't stop talking about it. I get texts and emails. They can't stop talking about it. It is what it is, and it is nonstop. Nonstop. And it always has the same strain of connectivity. It's the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party defended slavery. How do you defend slavery? The Democrat Party rejected the United States of America. It broke off to form its own country. The Democrat Party supported segregation after the Civil War. How can it be filled with such venom and hate for black people? It's just unbelievable to me. The Democrats Party spent 70 years preventing black people from voting, from going to good schools. It wasn't America. America didn't do this. The Democrat Party did this. Which is, again, the point of the book. I'm not going to let them off. I'm not going to let them get away with this. It's not the Republicans. It's not the it's not the Republican Party. It's the Democrat Party. They did this. And they're still doing it. They're still doing it. The Democrat Party wants to put the current leader of the Republican Party in prison and take him off the political battlefield altogether. Never been done in American history. It's done in every authoritarian, totalitarian regime. And now it's done in America. I don't want to hear about documents and class. I don't want to hear about it. These are all subterfuges. That's all they are. Because we saw it with the tax stuff in Trump. And we saw it with the non-disclosure agreements in Trump. And we saw it with this and that and the other thing. It's just the latest in a line. And they feel they got him now. Why? Because they have the entire mechanism of the justice system, the injustice system. And they're going to use it. And they are using it to protect Biden and to go after Trump. Tell me, what Democrat is in trouble in Washington, D.C. as a result of this Attorney General, the FBI? Nobody. They're all in the clear. They're all safe. They all have immunity, effectively. All of them. Doesn't matter that Nancy Pelosi is wheeling and dealing, and she and the big lug husband of her making fortunes off of her legislative priorities. Doesn't matter. They don't even want to talk about it. So, I just felt it was time to bring it all together, to crystallize it, and to start to use the phrase, the Democrat Party hates America. We don't have disagreements with them. They want to destroy us. They want to obliterate this country. We have nothing in common with them. That's why I'm so sick of the Republican. Can't we be bipartisan? No, we can't. With what? With whom? They hate our Constitution. They hate the men who wrote it. I go down to Independence Hall as a kid. I live outside of Philadelphia. I love the place. I said, my God, George Washington sat in that chair at that desk, both for the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. All the men who were there created the two greatest documents in human history, in my view. Certainly up there with the Magna Carta. And the left, they just soon burn the building down. And everything in it. So we can't talk anymore in generalities. We can't be sweet and kind and nice about this. These are revolutionaries. These are true, hardcore, violent revolutionaries. What's being done to Donald Trump right now is violent. Violent. And he won't be the last. He will not be the last. I hope you'll take some time, seriously. I hope you'll read this book, The Democrat Party Hates America. Not because I poured my blood, sweat, and tears into it. Why do you care about that? That's my problem, right? Not yours. But because when I sat down to do it, day in and day out, night after night, I didn't know whether it was 2 in the morning or 10 at night. I'm just focused. Hour after hour that passes. I thought, what is my audience going to think about this phrase? What does my audience want to know about this person? What? You are sitting there with me. Whether you know it or not. You are sitting there with me. I'm thinking about my family. I'm thinking about your family. I'm thinking about generations yet born. What the hell are we doing? I'm thinking about kids and grandkids, yours, mine. I'm thinking about what goes on in these classrooms with these little kids now. Thinking about the rule of law, the IRS. What are we going to do? I have to go to a break. If you do get a chance, what I'm trying to do now is to push as high as we possibly can the pre-orders on Amazon.com to make a statement to our fellow patriots to please help join us, to unite us, to pull us together. I'm not interested in one issue or another. I'm interested in all the issues. The Democrat Party hates America. It's not a title that's hard to forget, but it's a title that's never been more honest and more truthful. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile. If you're with them, you're overpaying, pure and simple. Pure Talk can easily save your family over $900 a year. Right now, get unlimited talk, unlimited text, and ultra-fast 5G data for just $20 a month. $20 a month. What about the coverage, you ask? It's phenomenal. I'm on it. Pure Talk uses the most dependable 5G network in the nation. Just go to puretalk.com and use promo code Levin Podcast to get unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data. Just $20 a month. Pure Talk's amazing U.S. customer service team will make switching very easy. So choose a veteran-owned company that cares about keeping jobs in America and saving you money. Go to puretalk.com. Use promo code Levin Podcast for unlimited talk and text with plenty of 5G data for just $20 a month. Again, when you go to puretalk.com and use promo code Levin Podcast, you'll save an additional 50% off your first month with Pure Talk. This is the best of the Mark Levin Show. Happy Independence Day. I don't have enough time this segment to get circle back to this Hunter Biden stuff. We definitely need to. And I do want to say this as a footnote. Those of you who've read any of my books, Liberty and Tyranny, American Marxism, all the rest, you know that these books are different than what anybody else writes. Why? Number one, I write them. Number two, I do all the research. Number three, most other authors or radio hosts or TV hosts, not all, but most others, do not write their books. They might review them to edit them and say that they edited them and so forth and so on. This is quite different. This is very personal for me. I would never tell you to buy a book that I didn't write in research. And I would never suggest you do that if I didn't think it was worthwhile. If I don't think a book's worthwhile, I'm not publishing it. But we want to push to number one on Amazon. If you're thinking of getting it, now would be a great time, and I appreciate it. Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile. If you're with them, you're overpaying, pure and simple. Pure Talk can easily save your family over $900 a year. Right now, get unlimited talk, unlimited text, and ultra-fast 5G data for just $20 a month. $20 a month. What about the coverage, you ask? It's phenomenal. I'm on it. Pure Talk uses the most dependable 5G network in the nation. Just go to puretalk.com and use promo code Levin Podcast to get unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data. Just $20 a month. Pure Talk's amazing U.S. customer service team will make switching very easy. So choose a veteran-owned company that cares about keeping jobs in America and saving you money. Go to puretalk.com. Use promo code Levin Podcast for unlimited talk and text with plenty of 5G data for just $20 a month. Again, when you go to puretalk.com and use promo code Levin Podcast, you'll save an additional 50% off your first month with Pure Talk. This is Mark Levin wishing you a happy 4th of July. Now back to the best of me. You see what fools and asses people like Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski look like? or the conga line of hosts on MSNBC and CNN. You see what disastrous, appalling frauds they are? They're all in for the mob. They're all in for the day. It doesn't matter what they say. The Nicole Wallaces. What a crackpot. Or the bigots and racists like Joy Reid. Or the slobs on The View. They're all in. It's incredible. How can you be a Democrat today? I don't hold you responsible for the things that these people are doing, but how can you associate yourself with the party that supported slavery? Well, Mark, what about civil rights? Well, what about it? Folks, you're going to learn things that you never knew before. It's not some Doris Kearns Goodwin, documentary on Franklin Roosevelt. You're going to learn things about Franklin Roosevelt you never knew. The truth, for one. You're going to learn the truth about Franklin Roosevelt. What an unbelievably dishonest, bigoted man that he was. How he used the IRS and the FBI against his political opponents. Here they're trying to lock up Trump. Well, guess what? It'll be Joe Biden. Joe Biden will be remembered for literally locking up his political opponent. This sleazeball who tried to destroy Robert Bork. This sleazeball who tried to destroy Clarence Thomas. This sleazeball who trash mouths 100 million Americans with whom he disagrees as MAGA white supremacists. This man was a white supremacist. He was a white supremacist. He's also a chameleon. He'll do whatever works from his perspective. Whatever works. I've read a tremendous amount about Joe Biden, also for this book. Tremendous amount. He wasn't just opposed to integrating public schools, including his home city of Wilmington. He was one of the leading advocates for segregation. I don't care what bullcrap he spins now about how he was part of the civil rights movement. He was never part of the civil rights movement. He didn't lift a finger for the civil rights movement. He's 29 years old. He runs for the Senate by trying to destroy his opponent, who's about 60, 62 years old. He's a Republican. He brings out the big unions who help him. That's why he's bought and paid for by the teachers' unions and the AFL-CIO. Not the rank and file, but the thugs that run these damn places. And he's sworn in time under the Constitution. He's 30 years old. And immediately as a senator, who does he embrace? James Eastland, the senior senator from Mississippi. You ever watch that Elvis movie, Mr. Producer? James Eastland has a prominent role there as a senator because, of course, Elvis was born in Mississippi, but Eastland and others chased him out of Mississippi. They turned the state troopers against him because they didn't like the way he moved. Reminded him too much of a black man, so they got rid of him, pushed him out. That James Eastland. He and Biden were very close. Eastland took Biden under his wing. And he wasn't the only one. When campaigning in the South, thinking that you couldn't hear him in the North, he would praise George Wallace, because George Wallace praised him. Now, you folks in the South, when he was in the North, he would take the opposite position, because he's a sleazeball. That's what he is. So his drug-addled son buys a gun. He lies on the form that is filed with the Treasury Department. As you'll see on Sunday on Life, Liberty, and Levin, near the end of the program, he literally checks the box no on the form that asks if he's doing any drugs, including marijuana. No, of course. No, the guy's doing coke. He's an addict. Buys a gun. Joe Biden's running around talking about gun control. His party's running around saying we need these red laws. We need, you shouldn't. They're defining his son. And what does the Department of Justice do on that one? Nothing. I think we're going to give him a... Here's what the Department of Justice did. I used to work there, as you know. Here's what they did. They put the kibosh on every serious crime that they figured that any half-witted, low IQ prosecutor could get him on. They put the kibosh on it. But they said, we have to throw something, to the Levins of the world, to the Republicans. We got to throw them something. Here's what we'll throw them. All right, the tax things, yeah. He paid him. Okay. Misdemeanor. Oh. The gun? Yeah. Well, look, we'll put him on this program. If he stays off drugs and so forth, we'll take that felony off the list. Well, first of all, I thought he was clean now. What do you mean if he stays off drugs? So they throw those out there, and then they give the talking points to MSNBC and CNN, to the Compost and the Slot. They give them the talking points. Oh, nobody's ever been charged like this. And then we have people coming out of the woodwork, particularly black people, coming out of the woodwork. Excuse me, I was charged with that. Some of them are famous. I don't happen to know them. Rappers say, wait a minute, their lawyers are on TV. My client went to prison for 4 years over that. My client went to prison for 2 years. I guess all the white, lily-livered, left-wing Democrat slobs over there at MSNBC and CNN, they don't get to meet many of you folks who've gone to prison over this. And tax evasion. Everybody's talking about their right. The old man, the CEO of the Trump organization, they claimed he didn't report $1.7 million in taxes. He's still in prison for 5 months. The old guy's in prison for 5 months. And I just read to you, in the case of Hunter Biden, we're talking about far more money than that. And the Justice Department is covering up the case. And you're going to hear these fools on TV telling you, oh, what's the big deal? The Republicans suck, This past March, Senator Chuck Grassley pressed Garland, as New York Post writes, on whether U.S. Attorney Weiss out of Delaware was truly able to bring charges without the approval of the Department of Justice, specifically if the alleged crime occurred outside Delaware. Without special counsel authority, he could need permission of another U.S. attorney in certain circumstances to bring charges outside the District of Delaware, Grassley noted at the time. I'd like a clarification from you with respect to these concerns. Garland replied that Weiss would be able to charge Hunter Biden even if crimes occurred outside Delaware. He said the U.S. Attorney in Delaware has been advised that he has full authority to make these kind of referrals that you're talking about or to bring cases in other jurisdictions if he feels it's necessary, and I will assure that if he does, he will be able to do that. Grassley pressed. Does the Delaware U.S. Attorney lack independent charging authority over certain criminal allegations against the president's son outside the District of Delaware? If it's another district, he would have to bring the case in another district, but as I said, I promised to ensure he's able to carry out his investigation and that he'd be able to run it, and if he needs to bring it in another jurisdiction, he will have full authority to do so. Well, he wanted to bring a case. He wanted to bring a case in two different U.S. attorney districts. Washington, D.C., another state that escapes my memory. And the U.S. Attorney's Office in those states said, no, you can't. We're not going to help you. So this guy Weiss was blocked. Grassley's pretty damn sharp. And Senator Grassley, you need to make a referral. I don't care who you make a referral to. I don't even care if it falls flat. You got to keep at it. Mr. Garland committed perjury. It should be at least contempt of Congress, that is the Senate. Mr. Garland lied under oath. Your questions are in plain English. They're very easy to understand, even for Garland. Mr. Garland lied under oath. He lied to you. He lied to Congress. He lied to the American people. Now, what are you going to do about it? I'm just curious. What are you going to do about it? Mr. Weiss needs to be brought before Congress, but here's the problem. Over at the Justice Department, they figured out how to prevent him from testifying. Even though it's all over, the Hunter Biden stuff, even though he's gotten away with felony after felony, even though what's happened here is a joke, it's an ongoing investigation. And so under that nomenclature, they seek to prevent any congressional oversight. This is how diabolical this is. This is how preposterous this is. It's the Democrat Party. They hate America. This is what they're doing. This isn't a one-off, America. This isn't a one-off. They're doing it over and over and over again. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile. If you're with them, you're overpaying, pure and simple. Pure Talk can easily save your family over $900 a year. Right now, get unlimited talk, unlimited text, and ultra-fast 5G data for just $20 a month. $20 a month. What about the coverage, you ask? It's phenomenal. I'm on it. Pure Talk uses the most dependable 5G network in the nation. Just go to puretalk.com and use promo code Levin Podcast to get unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data. Just $20 a month. Pure Talk's amazing U.S. customer service team will make switching very easy. So choose a veteran-owned company that cares about keeping jobs in America and saving you money. Go to puretalk.com. Use promo code Levin Podcast for unlimited talk and text with plenty of 5G data for just $20 a month. Again, when you go to puretalk.com and use promo code Levin Podcast, you'll save an additional 50% off your first month with Pure Talk. This is the best of the Mark Levin Show. Happy Independence Day. America's governor's been in San Francisco to see how the other side lives, that is the Democrat Party. To see what happens to big cities that are run by one party, the Democrat Party. To see how people flee from a big city that used to be, in my view, the most beautiful city in America. And in my view, what used to be the most beautiful state in America. But people are fleeing. Excuse me, they're speaking with their feet. They're speaking with their U-Hauls. And they want to do that to the rest of the country. It's the same party. I'll be right back.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
You're listening to the best of the Mark Levin Show. Happy Independence Day. Well, thank God Chris Christie's going to clear everything up for us, Mr. Producer. So we have a wide-angle chair for the young man. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It be me, and me be I. And between the two of us, we'll get to the bottom of things. Thank you. Dizzy Lizzie, the Cheney family, which apparently owned slaves at one point, Mr. Producer, unlike the Trump family, they never owned slaves. Or my family, some 3,000 years ago, helped build the pyramids, apparently. What do you think of that? Anyway, here we have Dizzy Lizzie, and she's at the Aspen Ideas Festival. Do you like the sanctimony of these fools? We're going to have a festival in Aspen. Liz will pay $15,000 if you can come out here and in your presence, and if you have any ideas, you can tell. And of course, her idea is Republicans bad, Trump bad, she good. That's worth $50,000. So Liz Cheney's out there now grifting for speeches. What else is she going to do? Cut 5, go.
It's really important for Democrats to take him seriously. You know, there can be a tendency I see sometimes for people on the Democratic side to say, well, look, sure, you know, the Republicans will nominate him. The Republicans are a mess, but we'll be able to beat him in a general. And that is playing with fire, and it's a risk we can't take. So I think it's really important for everyone to look at the threat that he poses apart from party ideology and realize it's something that we have to take very seriously and we've got to stand against.
No wonder they invited her. So profound. So unique. The wisdom is unbelievable. It's coming out of her pores, or every pore. Her every orifice. We have to take the Trump threat seriously, she says, at the Aspen Ideas Festival. This is her idea. We have to take him seriously. We can't just let him be nominated and claim you're going to beat him in a general election. I wrote something down and put it in my desk. I pray to God it never happens, Mr. Producer. It's a prediction. I'm not going to tell you folks. If it never happens, thank God. But unfortunately, if it does, I'm going to pull it out of my desk and I'm going to read it to you. I have to be honest with you. I've never seen such hate towards an individual in my life. In my life. People will lie about it. People will twist the facts. People will do all kinds of stuff. Joe Biden, Mr. Big, 10%. He was in Chicago today. I'm sure he visited the most downtrodden areas, but of course he didn't. Mr. Bidenomics, he's the Biden in the Bidenomics, if you hadn't figured it. Biden, I remember when they used to attack Reaganomics. It was the greatest economic explosion of growth in American history. And it's only for the rich. Created the biggest economic expansion in American history by following conservative free market practices. Well, those have never worked. Yeah, okay. You also got the biggest vote of any Republican in history, popular vote, and electoral college vote. It's a big deal. But here's Biden today. Chicago. Still hasn't gone to Palestine, Ohio, by the way. Nothing there. Move along. Cut 6. Go.
The economy that grows the economy from the middle out, the bottom up, instead of just
Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. Middle out, bottom up. Hold on a second. Middle out, bottom up. Mr. Producer, doesn't that sound like pornographic? From the middle up and the bottom out. The middle and the bottom. What's with this guy? Go ahead.
The economy that grows the economy from the middle out, the bottom up, instead of just the top down. When that happens, everybody does well. The wealthy still do it. Everybody does well.
Nobody has any idea what the hell this moron's talking. Instead of the top down, the middle, bottom up. Bottoms up. Where's my drink? Bottoms up. Bottoms up. The middle out. Top down. Where am I? Where are we going? Iraq. Iran. God save the Queen. Yes, okay. Bottoms up. Go ahead.
Forever ladder up, and the wealthy still do well.
The wealthy still do well.
well.
Do they pay their taxes like your son, you jackass? Do they? All this wealthy stuff. Doesn't he sound like a Marxist? What a putz. This guy's been on a government salary his entire life, except for 2 years. And all of a sudden, he's got a mansion in Wilmington. He's got a mansion in Rehoboth Beach on the ocean. He's got a $150,000 Corvette. Oh, my God, where did it come from? I don't know anything about my son. No, get away from me. Go ahead.
This vision is a fundamental break from the economic
Why will
theory
Chris
that is
Christie show up everywhere except on my show, Mr. Producer? Everywhere. Everywhere. And the benefit of radio is he doesn't really have to present his physical self. Do you understand what I'm saying? Didn't he get one of those bans? I think he did. I think he broke the damn thing. Not trying to be rude. Just calling him as I see him. Go ahead.
America's middle class for decades now. It's called
Oh,
trickle down.
hey, listen. We've been helping America's middle class here. Bottom up, middle out, top down, left in, right out. Hey, I used to play football, you know. Yeah, middle in, top left. Anyway, I got this Bidenomics. We're doing a hell of a job here. Those of you who have 29% interest on your credit card, you can thank me for that. 7% interest mortgage, that's me. Thank me. I'm bottom up, middle out. Oh, yeah. Food prices through the roof. Yeah, up. That's me. That's me, Biden. Inflation, record inflation. We like to break records there. God save the Queen. Oh, yeah. Economy's great. Have you filled up your car lately? Yeah. Gasoline is cheaper today than it was 12 months ago. Well, you were president then, too. Yeah, right. Shut up. What do you think you are? Yeah. I got the border secure like never before. Oh, yeah. It's a hell of a thing. We got infrastructure money. We got everything going on here. Bidenomics. We got more fentanyl flown into America than ever before. I did that. It's a record. We can't find 85,000 migrant children. That's right. It's another record, you know. Oh, I like my records. I like the DVDs, too. Oh, yeah, the sex trade down there on the border. It's all a lie. It's lies by MAGA extremists. You know, it's not your father's Republican Party anymore. That's right. MAGA extremists. All these white supremacists out there. And I know them when I see them because I used to be one, you know. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I've lived a life. You wouldn't believe it. By the way, Dr. Jill's here, ladies and gentlemen, over here. Dr. Jill. She's a PhD in education, you know. Yes, she does. I don't know what I do without her, yeah. Every now and then she gives me CPR. That's about it. That's about it. Bidenomics. I mean Reaganomics. I mean Bidenomics. Oh, yeah. Those shortages in the food stores? That's Big Grocery there. That Big Grocery does it. You should see the guys that own these grocery stores. They're all fat and happy. Oh, yeah. Eat more tasty cakes? Oh, that's unbelievable, these guys, huh? The titans of tofu, I can't stand it. It's Bidenomics. Oh, yeah. Bidenomics. Ladies and gentlemen. This guy's an idiot. And so I just posted and I've asked, you neurologists out there, we need your help. We need your help. I don't mean me in particular. I mean him in particular. Can't you speak out? You know what you see here. Can't you speak out and tell the American people, this guy is officially imbecilic? Not only shouldn't he run for re-election, he shouldn't be president now. Can you imagine this guy 6 years from now at the end of his second term if he's elected? Count on the Democrats. The Democrats hate America. They'll vote for anything. Anyone, anything. They gave us Obama. They wanted John Kerry. Democrats don't care. I said in the beginning of the show. They'll support an orange juice can or a kumquat or whatever it is, as long as they get their agenda. You know, that Joe, there's something about his charisma there. My wife bumps into some idiot in our community. She has a PhD. Second marriage. They've got 6 or 7 kids between them. And my wife's a runner. She bumps into her and they get to talk. Big lib. Big lib. She says, Trump is always a liar. You can't trust Trump. Joe Biden, on the other hand, she said, is earnest. He's earnest. I said, who's earnest? No, he's earnest. Oh, okay. And so she's a loser. There's no persuading her. She's a dimwit. And you'll find dimwits all along the ladder of intelligence, by the way. Dimwit means not that you have a high IQ. You can't reason. You're irrational. You're a dimwit. She's a dimwit. And I hope her children don't become dim-witted. She's clearly married to a dimwit. Dimwit. She's PhD. Joe Biden is earnest. All this corruption swirling around this puke. Oh, he's earnest. What about Trump? What a liar we got. This is Trump. Sounds like Mika Brzezinski. Looks a little like Joe Biden, John Bolton, I might say. So let us continue. If you haven't lost your place, Mr. Producer, cut 7, go.
Folks, let me say it as clearly as I can.
Yeah.
Trickle-down approach failed the middle class. It failed America.
The trickle-down failed the middle class? Trickle-down is big government. It's not the private sector. Private sector rewards merit. You don't get merit in government. They never talk about merit. They talk about race. They talk about redistributing wealth. They talk about tenure and public sector. They never talk about merit. Where's merit? And trickle-down never worked. That's right. Reagan's economy never worked, America. Yeah, we're dealing with this guy. Trickle down? Trickle down is what happens on your leg, you jerk. Look at Joe. He's trickling down again. Go ahead.
Blew up the deficit and increased inequity and weakened our infrastructure.
Shut up, you idiot. Why am I even wasting my life? I want to apologize to you, America. I just cost you 5 minutes of your life and 5 minutes of my life. You know, life is finite. It's finite. I shouldn't have done that to you. I can't give you the 5 minutes back, but you'll do something enjoyable after the show. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
This is Mark Levin wishing you a happy 4th of July. Now back to the best of me. Economy bottom up, middle out, and up yours. As I posted minutes ago, brilliantly I might add, The Biden propaganda campaign begins. Bidenomics? They're proud of all the families who are struggling thanks to their massive deficit spending. Record high inflation rate, double-digit credit card interest rates, record high mortgage interest rates, record high food and gas prices, and supply chain shortages. Yeah, you run on that. Middle up, screw you, through the back, whatever. Meanwhile, did you see this article? You see what was found by investigators? Listen to this. Hundreds of billions, 200 billion taxpayer dollars, which they took from you, supposedly for COVID, are literally unaccounted for. Did you read that, Mr. Producer? $200 billion. That's a fifth of $1 trillion. They spend your money like drunken, crooked bastards. And we need more. We need more for education. We need more for health care. We need more for the old people, the young people, the middle in, the upper out. And we need it. We need more money for education and indoctrination. $200 billion unaccounted for. Anyone going to go to prison? Any politician hold to account? How about the president? He held to account? No. He's earnest, as the idiot in my community. He's an earnest man. He's a fraud and a cook and a phony. I meant crook, not cook, but maybe he's a cook too. God save the Queen. Hundreds of billions in taxpayer dollars, supposedly for COVID, are literally unaccounted for. Bidenomics, everybody, Bidenomics. Open borders, tens of thousands of fentanyl deaths. Sex trafficking of women and children. 85,000 missing migrant children. Where'd they go? I don't know. Killing women's sports with transgenderism. Transgenderism, which represents what? About 1/1000% of the population? Oh, yes. Now we got to teach it. It's in books, and we have to recognize it. And who's going to recognize it? The teachers union. Oh! See little Frank over there? Yes. I think he'd look very cute in a dress. Frank, come over here. Yes. Are you sure about your genitalia? What's genitalia? Can I show you a book? Let's get it out of the elementary school. See this, Frank? Yes, what? Oh, my goodness. You don't really need this, do you, Frank? Where's my mommy? Shh. Don't talk to your mommy, Frank. We're professionals. We know better than you. It takes a village to surgically mutilate a child. Where's my mommy? Frank, we don't talk to parents here. We're professionals. I'll be right back. This is the best of the Mark Levin Show. Happy Independence Day. You should always stay for the third hour. It's a lot of fun. But this isn't really fun. I got to thinking the other day, ladies and gentlemen, of all these drag queens out there. Why are all the drag queens fat men? Why are they all fat? Have you noticed that, mister? They're all fat. They all look like, may I say, Chris Christie in a dress. Too much makeup, lipstick, lice-infested wigs. They have legs like water buffalo. Their high heels are only about 2 inches high, otherwise they'd fall over. The drag queens are always like these fat, ugly men. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe I need to expand my group Fatties United, or FU, to include these fat drag queens. See, it's not so much that I'm offended by drag queens with little kids. Of course not. Who would be? I'm offended that they're fat, ugly men dressed up as fat, ugly women. What's that all about? What's that all about? I'm serious about it. And by the way, none of these people have psychological issues. You know, I wish I was born a woman. What can I do about it? And then we have these surgeons. Come over here, fella. We'll take care of you. Little snip here and a little clip there. Oh, yes. We got a whole industry built up. We make a fortune. I mean, we're about civil rights here. We do not think if you want to be a woman, you should be burdened with that thing, you know, the thing. And we're here to quickly help you make a decision. No circumspection, just circumcision. A really big one. You won't feel a thing. We'll knock you out. You wake up and the next thing you know, Joe will be Yolanda. Not for Yolanda. Nothing says guy like a very good surgeon. I often wonder how these people can do these things to other human beings. I really do. It's sickening. Don't you believe in drag queen rights? Actually, I don't. Get out of my face. They have no rights. They want to dance around like women? Then dance around like women. Keep away from my kids. There ought to be signs out there. No drag queens within 1,000 feet of any public school. Why? Because you're a sickening influence. That's why. You're creepy. Did I say it? I meant it. That's right. I wonder what kind of people are now being attracted to the teaching profession. You know, when I was a young guy, it was the smartest people around who were very, may I use the word earnest, who wanted to help kids, who enjoyed teaching kids math and science and history. They didn't want to get into sexuality and gender and all the rest. And I bet a lot of the teachers today are so sick of this, it's not even funny. But then I have to wonder, our education departments throughout America today, in our schools of higher learning and lowering pants, I just wonder how many of these people in the education department now are perverts. Obviously not all of them. And no, I'm not changing my thinking. I'm not changing my language. I'm not going along with the crowd. This is what I believe. And I have rights too, you know. I get to speak too. Ooh. Yes. So we need signs. No drag queens within 1,000 feet of a public school. This is what America's come to be. We need signs like that. We also should have application forms for teachers that sort of cull out the sickos. And these educational administrators, many of them former union members. They're educational bureaucrats. Takes a village, Hillary said, to raise a child. A village. A village? Whose village? A village made up of whom and what? A village? To raise a child? The hell are they talking about? They don't know. It sounds good. They read it in a fortune cookie. Takes a village to raise a child. I don't know. We raised our kids without a village. And villages are filled with idiots. Joe Biden is a perfect example. So they lose $200 billion. I don't know where we're at. I have no idea. Middle out, bottom up. I don't know. Where we trickle down. My leg's all wet here, been trickling down. I don't believe in a trickle down. Hey, where's Dr. Jill? Jill? No, that's your sister. Oh, wait. Where's that? No, that was your mother. Okay, whatever. God save the Queen. Yeah, I want that guy, the village idiot, raising my child. Yes. No, it's your flesh and blood. No, it's not. The Democrats say it's not. You may have given birth. You should have aborted, of course. But you may have given birth but now they're ours. We got to work their little minds. What will they say of us 100 years from now? Democrat Party with eugenics, Democrat Party with abortion on demand, Democrat Party with surgically mutilating our children, Democrat Party. What will they say about us? They'll say we're sick. We're sick. And who's doing this to us? Well, we circle back. Have you heard a single major Democrat in Washington, D.C., in Congress, in the executive branch, speak out against what's happening to our children? No, they support it. Have you heard a single one of them tell Joe Biden, stop using racism? No, they all support it. Have you heard a single Democrat speak out and tell Joe Biden, stop with your anti-Semitism against Israel? No, they support it. Have you heard a single Democrat speak out and say, Joe, stop destroying the middle class? No, they support it. Here's the thing. They always talk about the middle class like we're a class society. People move in and out of the middle class or the upper class. But they want to make you angry and jealous. Look what he has over there. Elect me and I'll take it from him and I'll give it to you. Oh. Problem is they take it from you and they give it to them. Have you noticed? Democrat Party is sick. It's perverse. It's evil. It's dangerous. It lies. Come on, all you Democrats in the media, aren't you going to come to the defense of the Democrat Party and start attacking me over at Mediocreite and media doesn't matter for America, all these fraudulent hemorrhoids on the body politic? They'll come to the defense of the... What do you mean the Democrat Party hates him? What do you mean? I'm an objective reporter. What do you mean by that? Anyway, back to drag queens. You can tell the country's in decline because why are we even talking about drag queens? Why are they even near our children? Want to be a drag queen? Be a drag queen. Want to be a butterfly? Be a butterfly. Want to be a gopher? Be a gopher. Want to be a pig? Be a pig. What do I care? Keep it to yourself and get out of my way. And do not share your mental illness with my children. Sorry, every day is not Halloween. Every day is not Halloween. Remember we talked about remember when you were growing up you had tomboys? Remember, these are girls who are good athletes, like hanging out with the boys. You know what the educational bureaucrats see there, Mr. Producer? An opportunity. Now look at that tomboy over there. That girl really wants to be a boy. We need to have a conference. Bring in the psychologist, the psychiatrist, the school counselor. Bring in the outside experts, DEI, ESG, ABC. Bring them all in. Do not bring in the parents. What do they know? Sally is a tomboy. We have an issue here. Sally, can we take you to our elementary school library? It's filled with fantastic books here. We don't ban books here, Sally. No, we don't ban books. See this? See this one here? Sally the tomboy. See it? Turn to the last page. Turn to the last page there, Sally. It's all graphics. Look, you're old enough. You're 4.5, 5 years old. Take a look. Isn't that wonderful? See the ending of the book? Yes. See what happens? Yes. Sally really becomes Tom. You can identify with that, can't you, Sally? What? Yes. When's recess? No, Sally, take a look. You're frightening me. Sally, do you want to sit in the corner? Yes. It takes a village to raise our children. Don't you want the unions raising your children? They care so much. Don't you want Hollywood raising your children? Come on now. Don't you want your children exposed to Drag queens? Particularly fat, ugly drag queens? Yes, of course. All right, get with the program. Get with the program. The Democrat Party could put an end to this tomorrow. It's their unions. It's their Marxists. It's their executive orders. It's their books. But they won't. Why? Because they hate you. This is not a party that's pro-American, pro-capitalism, pro-family, pro-child. It is become a Marxist party. The goal is to destroy the norms of a civil society, to devour it, to eliminate the status quo and create something new. They will embrace critical race theory. They will embrace whatever they have to. They will promote whatever they have to. And that's exactly what's taking place. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
You're listening to the best of the Mark Levin Show. Happy Independence Day.
It's hard to tell, but he's clearly losing the war in Iraq. He's losing the war at home. And he has become a bit of a fly around the world. And it's not just NATO. It's not just the European Union. It's Japan. It's 40 nations.
All right, that is our great leader, Joseph Robinette Biden Sr., who confuses, of course, Iraq for Ukraine. And people have said, well, George W. Bush did that. And I say, exactly. The nitwittery knows no bounds with Biden, however. He does that every day. Wouldn't you miss me if I weren't on radio anymore, Mr. Producer? Wouldn't you miss me, America, if I weren't here anymore? New York, wouldn't you miss me if I wasn't here anymore? Who can replace this? Hey, let me tell you about Iraq. Whatever. We have Kristen Welker of NBC News. She saw this. Andrea Mitchell saw this, and they got concerned. Look, we know you're an imbecile. Can you talk less? Read the script. That was on the script. Cut 13. Go.
The question becomes, Andrea, is there a growing concern about some of these gaps? For example, today, he seemed to confuse Iraq with Ukraine. I spoke to a White House official about that who really downplayed that. They said, look, presidents...
Hold on, wait a minute. You spoke to an official in the Biden regime about Biden's mental capacity, and they played it down? Tell me that's not true! How's that possible? Where are the Democrats? They love this. Yes, we know he's an imbecile, but we can't tell anybody. He's our imbecile. And not only that, we've been able to push the most radical agenda in American history through the imbecile. He's our imbecile. We like that imbecile. Plus the other imbecile, the vice president, we can't control her as much. So we call it the imbecilic White House for a reason. We love it. We do. It's fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, we salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, emergency personnel, our truck driver friends, the freedom fighters in Ukraine, and of course in Taiwan. God bless each and every one of you, and I'll see you tomorrow.